Hi, my name's Emma, and I'm a huge book nerd.
You're my library, always open for business, but you never show it. You're just sitting with it.
But I know the score, and you're killing it. Welcome to the first of what might be a new series on my channel. This is the February book releases. Now here's how this is gonna work, because in researching February book releases, I realized that there are so many books coming out in February that I can't possibly say them all. So I'm gonna say the ones that I think are interesting. So I'm not including like serial contemporary romances and like books that are like number 6 in a series I've never heard of, but I'll leave all of those down in the description. So if you want to see all of the books that I found coming out in February, you can go to the description and look at those there. As we go through this, I'm going to tell you what the Goodreads rating is and how many people have rated the book, so you can kind of get an idea of how this book is going over with people who've read it. But keep in mind that Goodreads ratings don't really mean a whole lot, especially because some people rate a book before they've read it, especially like the more popular books where they're like, this is my favorite author, I'm gonna give it 5 stars. Please don't do that. Don't rate it unless you've read it. I should also mention I'm not gonna go through the synopsis of all of these books because there are a lot, so if you're interested, you can look on Goodreads. Other bit of business, I'm sure that I've missed a few, so don't rely on me for all of the book releases ever. I did my best to collect them all, but I'm sure my list is not complete. Let's get into it. I am going to be reading off my computer here. On February 1st, there is only one book that I'm interested in that's coming out, and that is Write Smart, Write Happy, How to Become a More Productive, Resilient, and Successful Writer by Cheryl St. John. And this is a like reference writing style book, like it's a book about writing. And I have actually downloaded an arc of this that I've been reading on my phone. I'm not very far in at all, but I think I like it so far. I'm only like, literally I'm in the first chapter. Like I read the introduction and I'm in the first chapter. But so far, it's got some useful stuff. The current Goodreads rating for it is 3.86, but that's only from 7 ratings. On February 6th, there are 19 books coming out that I think are interesting. So first is The Art of Vanishing, a memoir of wanderlust by Laura Smith, and this has 4.14 stars on Goodreads, but that's only from 7 ratings. Then I Am, 17 Brushes with Death by Maggie O'Farrell is also coming out, and that is also a memoir, and that has 4.24 stars on Goodreads and 928 ratings. Next is The Clinic by David Jester, and that's a thriller, and it has 0 stars on Goodreads and 0 ratings. So no one's read this one yet. I think this one sounds fascinating. I think it's about this like group of teenagers, I think they're teenagers, who like try to do a heist at a clinic, and it's like a thriller and scary, and that's all I know about it, but it looks really creepy. So next is The Gone World by Tom Sweeterleash. And this is a science fiction book, and like the description basically says it's a detective story in which there are grave implications for mankind. So it's like science fiction detective story. It has 3.78 stars on Goodreads from 59 ratings. Next is The Friend by Sigrid Nunez, and that's a fiction story about a woman who her loved one or someone dies, and they have a dog, and she's like left taking care of the dog. And it's basically about her like building this grieving relationship with the dog. It has 4.1 stars on Goodreads, and that's out of 10 ratings. Next is Empty Set by Veronica Gerber-Bisecci, translated by Christina McSweeney. And this is a fiction, romance, science-y book. I can't really explain that much more about it. I've seen this one going around Instagram a little bit, but that has 4.11 stars out of 189 ratings. Next, I just wanted to mention, I'm not interested in this book, but this series is popular, so I'm gonna mention Immortal Reign, the 6th book in the Fallen Kingdom series by Morgan Rhodes, which is YA fantasy, is also coming out on the 6th. And that has 4.44 stars out of 189 ratings. So people are kind of excited about that book. Next is Your One and Only by Adrian Finley. And it's a debut novel that's a dystopian YA romance. And the reviews on this on Goodreads honestly look amazing. I don't know that much about it. It got 4.17 stars out of 72 ratings. Next is another popular one I've seen going around, The Great Alone by Kristen Hanna. And Kristen Hanna wrote The Nightingale. So I really want to read this one because I loved The Nightingale. And this one's classified as women's fiction. It's set in Alaska in the 1970s, that's all I know. It has 4.17 stars on Goodreads, that's out of 669 ratings, and it has raving reviews. Next is She Regrets Nothing by Andrea Dunlop. This is also classified as women's fiction. I've seen this one all over Bookstagram. It's about a wealthy family in New York City. I'm not like particularly interested in this one, but I've seen it going around, so I wanted to mention it. And that has 3.84 stars and 45 ratings. This next one sounds really interesting to me. It's called Dreaming in Chocolate by Susan Bishop Crispell, and this is also classified as women's fiction, and I'm just gonna read you the synopsis that I found because it pulled me in. At 27, Penelope Dalton is quickly ticking off items on a bucket list. Only the list isn't hers. After her 8-year-old daughter Ella is given just 6 months to live, Penelope's determined to fill Ella's remaining days with as many new experiences as she can. I was like, oh my goodness, that makes me want to read this book so bad. It has 4.08 stars on Goodreads out of 53 ratings, so I feel like that's pretty good, and it did also have like raving reviews. Next is The Unforgotten by Laura Powell, and this one is crime fiction. It's a debut novel. I don't remember anything else about it, but something about it I found interesting. Good job, Emma. This one has 3.69 stars on Goodreads out of 227 ratings. Next is The Masterpiece by Francine Rivers. This one's also classified as women's fiction. It's about a famous LA artist and his assistant, like falling in love, and apparently he has some like deep dark secrets and like a search for fulfillment. It sounds kind of interesting. The average rating on Goodreads is 3.93 stars, and that's out of 59 ratings. So sort of mixed reviews on that one. Next is The Saturday Night Supper Club, and it's a supper club novel. Apparently this is like a series, like a serial kind of thing, by Clara Laureano, and this one's classified as women's fiction and also Christian fiction. And it's about a successful female chef who finds herself pushed out of her own business by a targeted smear. And this one has 4.69 stars on Goodreads, and that's from 35 ratings. This one sounds like kind of interesting, and the cover, honestly, I think is pretty. Next is Americanized by Sarah Sadie, and this is an autobiography about growing up in America as an illegal immigrant from Iran. And this is geared toward teens. It has 3.89 stars on Goodreads, and that's from 44 reviews. It has really mixed reviews. Some people really don't like it. They're saying it's very light and like written like a comedy. I think that's probably how it's like geared toward young adult, but I mean, an autobiography about an immigrant, I'm all for, so check it out. Next is How to Stop Time by Matt Haig, and this is a time travel romance that sounds almost exactly like The Time Traveler's Wife. Like it's a love story across the ages about a man lost in time and the woman who could save him. Yeah. That being said, it has really great reviews on Goodreads. It has 4.13 stars out of 5,981 ratings, so it's doing pretty good, and I've seen it around Bookstagram as well. Next is Ghost Bully by Brian Corley, and this is like humor thriller? Question mark? It's about a guy who moves into a house haunted by a ghost, and then like one day he wakes up and he's dead, and he like knows the ghost did it, and then they have this like weird, complicated relationship as two ghosts living in this house now. It sounds super interesting. I was like, that's cool, and I've heard no buzz about it at all. It has 0 ratings on Goodreads, so. Next is Feel Free by Zadie Smith. This is an essay collection about like social networking. I have also seen this one like all over Bookstagram. It has 4.0 stars on Goodreads and 33 ratings. Next is Dot Meme by Mike A. Lancaster, and this is a YA science fiction novel about teens who like save the world by rewriting this digital reality. Yeah, it has 0 ratings and 0 reviews on Goodreads, but it looks cool. All right, now moving on to books that are released on February 13th. First is Knucklehead by Adam Smyer, and this is a satire, also classified as African American fiction, and this one apparently doesn't even exist on Goodreads. So there's that. Next, I wanted to mention Detective Knows Good and the Music Box Mystery by Marion Orton, and this is a children's mystery and detective novel, and I only wanted to mention it because I did read an arc of it, and I was really actually not a big fan. I gave it 2 stars. I mean, it is a children's novel, so like, I can't hate on it too much. The thing to me is that like, it totally ripped off Agatha Christie's Hercule Poirot novels, in that it's like this nerdy detective dude. The only thing it has going for it is that it has the originality of a talking dog, which is kind of fun. But the story was boring, the mystery was boring, it was pretty cliche and like questionable morals. It just like got to the end and I was like, excuse me? It was really weird. Next is Mrs. by Caitlin Macy, and this is contemporary fiction. People are calling this the next Big Little Lies. I haven't read Big Little Lies, so I can't jump in on that, but it has 3.04 stars on Goodreads with 26 ratings, and the reviews are honestly like really average. People are giving it like 3 stars mostly. Next is Honor Among Thieves, which is part of a new series called The Honors by Rachel Kane and Anne Aguirre, and these are YA sci-fi novels. First of all, I love the cover on this, and I'm just gonna read the synopsis because I found the synopsis interesting. It says, in Earth's distant future, a savvy young criminal is recruited to join the Honors space program, which sends humans into the far reaches of the galaxy aboard sentient spaceships called the Leviathan, only to discover that dangerous secrets are hidden amongst the stars. This has 4.09 stars on Goodreads out of 55 ratings. Next is The Lucky Ones by Tiffany Rees, and this is classified as suspenseful women's fiction. They call themselves the Lucky Ones. There are 7 orphans selected by a legendary philanthropist and brain surgeon to live in the Dragon, a house on the Oregon coast. And then 13 years later, one of the girls, Allison, receives a letter that tells her like that this philanthropist has passed away, and so she has to go back and like confront her childhood or whatever. This has 4.28 stars on Goodreads and 32 ratings. Next is The Legacy, a book in the Children's House series by Jirsa Sigurdardóttir, and it's a police procedural. The only person who might have the answers to a baffling murder case is the victim's 7-year-old daughter found hiding in the room where her mother died, and she's not talking. I just think that synopsis is very like, duh, duh, duh. That has 3.93 stars on Goodreads out of 895 ratings. Next is Surprise Me by Sophie Kinsella, and people love Sophie Kinsella, which is why I'm mentioning this book. It is classified as women's fiction. I'm not giving you a synopsis because it's called Surprise Me, so you should be surprised. This has 3.69 stars out of 269 ratings. And the last book to come out on the 13th is The Queen of Hearts by Kimmery Martin, which is classified as women's fiction. I actually read this book as an arc. It's basically like Grey's Anatomy in a book, and it's about like 2 women and their friendship. The only thing is, the women are both like really hot, and they have to mention that all the time. It's like very sexualized, and I'm like, why? Why do they have to be like the perfect beauty standard women and also doctors? Can't they just be really smart women? Anyways, I'll get off my soapbox, hopping down. But other than that, it was fun. I gave it 3 stars, and if you're into Grey's Anatomy, I think you'll love this book. On Goodreads, it has a 4.01 star average and 102 ratings. On February 20th, there are 5 books coming out that I think are cool. First is Ambiguity Machines and Other Stories by Vandana Singh. And this is a short story science fiction collection that sounds amazing. It's about like trying to make sense of people in the world. Like just a bunch of stories about people, which is cool, and like, I don't know, maybe that sounds really stupid. I think it sounds really cool. It has a 5-star average rating and only 1 person has rated it. So yeah, take that for what it is. Next is Sunburn by Laura Lippman. And this is a psychological suspense about a pair of lovers with the best intentions and the worst of luck. Duh, duh, duh. This has a Goodreads rating of 3.89 stars and 122 ratings. Next is The Clarity by Keith Thomas. and this is a thriller. It says it's for fans of Black Mirror and True Detective. It's about a psychologist who must protect the life of an 11-year-old girl whose ability to remember past lives makes them both targets of a merciless killer. This just makes me think of Stranger Things, which I'm like all about. This has a 3.69 star average rating on Goodreads and 22 ratings. Next is The Last Best Story by Maggie Lehman. This is a YA romantic comedy. This cover's beautiful, and that's why I wanted to talk about it. It's about a girl who writes for a school paper, and it has 4.43 stars on Goodreads out of 7 ratings. The last one to come out on the 20th is The Stone Building and Other Places by Asli Erdogan. And this is a fiction collection of short stories. This is cool. The author was imprisoned for 4 months last year following a failed coup attempt in Turkey, and she's currently waiting trial on charges that could result in life imprisonment. So that's cool. Just throwing that out there. This has a 3.34 star average rating out of 264 ratings. The Last Day, February 27th. There are 4 books that I'm interested in. The Sea Beast Takes a Lover, stories by Michael Andreessen. This is a short story collection. This sounds incredible. It explores hope, love, and loss across a series of surreal landscapes and wild metamorphoses. Its feet are only slightly tethered in the world that we know. And if you can't tell from the cover, this just looks kind of incredible. This has 3.71 average rating, and that's out of 38 ratings. Next is The Megaroth by Robert Ashcroft, and this is a science fiction apocalyptic book. It's described as Blade Runner meets Westworld, and that's really all I know about it, but it has a 5-star average rating and 11 people have rated it. So like, that's pretty good. Next is Tess of the Road by Rachel Artman, and this is a YA fantasy novel. I love the cover. It's in the same world as Serafina, which I've seen some people reading, with a new character and a new quest. It has a 3.78 star rating out of 186 ratings. And the last book that I'm gonna talk about is People Like Us by Dana Meal, and this is a YA psychological thriller for fans of 13 Reasons Why and Pretty Little Liars. This has a 3.95 stars on Goodreads and 110 ratings. Woo! If you have made it to the end of this video, I commend you. I hope you've found some books that you're maybe excited about going out and picking up in February. If I missed any that you're really interested in, please let me know down in the comments. I would be so excited to hear about books that I missed that are coming out that I should be informed about. If you like this video and want to see one of these every month, please let me know about this too, because this video is a lot of work to put together. So if people aren't interested in seeing it, then I probably won't do it. Although it's fun to know what's coming out, putting it all together in a list and talking about it is just a lot to do. So let me know. And otherwise, please like and subscribe and comment down below, and you have a wonderfully fabulous day, and I will see you in the next video. Bye! Mwah!